So welcome to the Whiteboard Challenge, everyone. And so nowadays, Whiteboard Challenge is actually, I'd say, has always been a very important part of the interview process, and it's one of the difficult rounds in the interview process. So let's just begin with understanding what a Whiteboard Challenge is. So yeah, before we begin to understand the process, I'd like to ask you all a question. Have you gone through the UX interview process before, and what scares you the most about it? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Can you write it down in the chat? I'm giving a bit of time for everyone to write it down. Maybe a minute. Okay, I see not yet, but I'll be ready. Okay. Okay, I see no's. Okay. Couple with imposter syndrome. Okay. Design thinking and whiteboarding. Okay. Yep, I see whiteboarding there. So yeah, definitely do not worry about it. We are going to go through a practice session as well, like a workshop here. So what we're going to cover today is what is a whiteboard challenge, why is it important, and how best we can prepare you for a whiteboard challenge, and the common mistakes and fears for it. Most of you have already seen this presentation, but I'm still going through it for because I see a lot of new faces here. And what interviewers are evaluating and what we actually want to see in a candidate when we interview during a whiteboard challenge, and how to stand out. Because we get a lot of applications for a specific role, and how you can stand out, because whiteboard challenge is a very important step in the UX process. So, okay, starting with what is a whiteboard challenge? Can anyone tell what they know about a whiteboard challenge? Yeah, please go ahead. Unmute yourself and say, come on. I've actually given you the hint here.
I would say it shows critical thinking skills.
Okay.
Communication and collaboration.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone?
Showing your problem-solving skills.
Okay. You see that from the slide? I know. Okay.
Maybe also how you ask questions to stakeholders as well.
Okay.
In order to like find the best problem to solve the problem.
Okay.
It's more about the understanding part is, I think.
Okay.
Asking the right questions to understand.
Right. A lot of you people are very close to what exactly a whiteboard challenge is. So technically a whiteboard challenge, what we do is we give you a prompt with a design challenge. It could be a random scenario, or it could also be a scenario from their very product, what they're actually currently building up. And they would like to know what your thoughts are on that. So it could be one interviewer, or it could be a team of interviewers. Max, they would have around 1 to 5. So they'd like to actually see what your problem solving skills are. We don't want to see actually how pretty and quick wireframes you create, but we'd actually like to see how you've arrived at that solution, and what your design thinking process is that you're arriving at that particular solution, right? And most of the times nowadays we have virtual interviews in video calls, which is why digital whiteboarding is famous right now. However, if you have a face-to-face interviews, you're also sometimes given a physical whiteboard to work with. Why is this process important? First and foremost is to evaluate your design thinking, as I mentioned before, because in that you can, so the interviewer technically acts as your stakeholder or your client. And sometimes there are a couple of other team members from that particular product team, which is, it could be a product manager, it could be a lead designer, it could be a senior designer, anyone, or it could be even a business analyst as an interviewer. And they would like to understand from you as to how you think in that particular situation, how well you gel with their team, how you collaborate with them, what kind of questions you ask, what kind of solutions you offer to them. So that is what they would want to evaluate there. And of course, as I mentioned before, you get a lot of candidates for a specific role, mainly to screen screen a good candidate from the rest of the applications. That is why a whiteboarding challenge is actually important as well. So coming to the framework of a whiteboard challenge, as a generic design thinking process, you have 5 steps or 5 phases here, which is understanding the problem, defining the problem, generating ideas, and fleshing out solutions. The 5th phase is mostly summarizing it or closing the loop, I'd call it. But then it is mostly how you're connecting the solution to the problem. That is what closing the loop is here. So understanding and defining the problem is mainly like how well you understand the goal, how well you understand the product, and are there any constraints, what you're working with, and how well you understand the context of the challenge. You can definitely ask as many questions as you want during this entire process. The interviewers would never stop you from asking questions. They want you to ask more questions, so that the more you probe, the more questions you ask, the more you understand what the context of the problem is. And that is what they're looking for. So technically, a whiteboard challenge is about 30 to 40 minutes. Sometimes it goes on for about an hour based on the complexity of the challenge. So you would spend around 10 minutes for understanding the problem and defining the problem, and 10 minutes for generating ideas. And then from there on, for fleshing out those solutions, and in between generating ideas and stuff, you generally spend around 25 minutes. That's what I would always suggest, because that is what we want to see. We don't want you to be stuck in understanding the problem or understanding the context of it, and rather than generating the ideas, right? That is what we want to see there. So I always suggest to spend more time on generating ideas and fleshing out solutions. So the common mistakes and fears in Whiteboard Challenge is jumping into solutions too soon. As I mentioned, we don't want to see solutions. We don't want to see how well you create the wireframes, how pretty you make them, what kind of components you use. We don't want to see any of that. We just want to see from the context how you're getting to the solution. That is what we want to see. And the time management, as I mentioned, you don't need to spend too much time on the context. You just have to spend more time in understanding the problem and then getting to generating the ideas, and not explaining your thinking process. Always think out loud for your whiteboard challenge, because we want to hear your thoughts. Because if you don't think out loud, we won't understand what your thinking process is, what you're actually thinking. Your teammates will not understand. You need to discuss, brainstorm with the team, with your stakeholders. Only then you'll be able to understand the problem well. And fear of the unknown. So a lot of candidates have the fear that, okay, we don't know what the problem is. How are we actually going to solve it? So that is what we want to see. That is what differentiates a good candidate from the rest of the applications. So you just have to keep practicing and practicing, because you just have to be ready for it. And that is why we are doing all these workshops, to take you away from that fear and help you with it. And fear of speaking. Fear of speaking is there in a lot of candidates when I've seen during the interviews. You just have to practice public speaking, or you can even take courses. You can even learn. You can just stand in front of the mirror and talk. You just create a speech, just talk to yourself. That is how you overcome the fear of speaking. And fear of messing up is, it is okay to mess up. Everyone does mistakes. It's fine. So that's how the design thinking process is. That's how a UX process is. If you don't make mistakes, you will not arrive at the right solutions. So it is totally okay to mess up in the whiteboard challenge. No one is expecting you to be perfect. Okay, so the next is evaluation and standing out, how you can stand out. As I mentioned, problem definition. So defining the problem is important, not just understanding the problem or understanding the context. You need to figure out what exactly the problem is. You could be just given a problem statement. but you need to understand within the problem statement what exactly the problem for the users is. So that is defining the problem. So that is how you stand out. And then solution finding. And solution finding is, as I said, we don't want to hear you jumping to solutions too soon, but then solution finding is also important during the design thinking process. We want to definitely hear out your solutions, but after your process, not randomly saying, okay, we can actually do this for this problem. I have seen other companies or other apps doing this, so let's just go ahead and implement this. That is not what I want to hear or what the interviewers would want to hear. We want to see why you think that is the best solution. Okay, and of course, the design knowledge, the knowledge you have on your design thinking, or that definitely works, or that you have that knowledge mainly because like how you practice or go to a lot of workshops for whiteboarding challenge. That's how you increase your design knowledge. And of course, collaboration. You ask questions, you talk to the stakeholders, you talk to the clients, and you talk to your team members. You consider them as your team members, and that's how you collaborate with them. And that's what we want to see in the interviews. And of course, storytelling, communication, and bringing up unique solutions. We don't want to see any random solution, what is already present in the market or what already other apps are building. We want to see what you can offer, what different you can offer to us for this particular problem. That is how you stand out. Okay, so the resources will be shared by Padma and the IterateUX after our presentation. We have Google Drawings. You can even use Figma Jam or Fig Jam, you can call it. And Miro is a great resource to practice whiteboarding because it's just very easy as InVision Freehand. I'm not sure if anyone has used InVision Freehand before. It's very simple. It's just a blank board and you have a lot of templates to work with. So Miro is also a great resource, and you have other resources as Adobe XD. And why I've mentioned choose to screen share is sometimes during interviews, they might even ask you to do a screen share of what your Miro board looks like and ask you to work on your specific Miro board or any from your end. So that is why I've actually mentioned it here. And Designer Size and Sharpen.design, these are two great resources where you can promptly get design challenges and you can practice whiteboarding all by yourself. So without further ado, let's go to today's challenge. Since we are doing this challenge for 30 minutes, I would suggest you spend 5 minutes on the context, 15 minutes to understand the problem and defining the problem, and then 10 minutes on solution space. As I said, more time on problem space. So good luck.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Mehz. So I have already pasted the team 1 names out here. I see Harko is there. Then who else is there from team 1? Can you guys just unmute yourself? Yeah,
We have
Deborah.
all the participants
Yep.
today.
Hey, hi guys.
Okay, we have 2 people. I don't see Karthik, Rhea, and Lula. Okay, so if anyone would like to join this, feel free to share your email with me so that I can add you in team 1.
Is this the only team, or
We
is this
have
the
one more
first
team. Yeah, this is the
making sure I
first
signed
team.
up correctly.
Yep.
Do we have all the members of team 1?
Okay, let me just press team 2 names as well. So if you're not there in team 2, maybe you can just send your email with me so that I can add you in today's
Okay.
session. Okay, sorry. Okay. How to delete it?
We have 6 members in team 2? No, 5. Okay.
No, 5. By mistakenly, I pressed their email IDs also. Okay. I thought I signed up. Okay. Carolina, maybe you can share. Okay, perfect. So I will add you in team 1 and I will add Jay also in team 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay, okay. Great. So we have few people for team 1. So I can add Jay, I can add Carolina. Okay. And then the rest all for team 2. Okay. In the meeting early, but next time. Okay, perfect. Sure, definitely. So let me just share files with everyone and then share the access. Edit. Okay, 1, 2
You've added them?
with J. And Caroline. So these 4 people I have added for team 1.
Okay. So let me share my screen for team 1.
And then I will share the link with everyone out here so that everyone can see the board, but you won't be able to access that.
Okay, so this is team 1's challenge today. Designing a toy building application for kids.
Okay. Also, let me just start the timer and feel free to ask questions. I am there, Mehz is there. We are your stakeholders. So feel free to ask questions, and then maybe at the end of the session, we will share our insights as well.
And
So
the
let
team,
me-
you can always ask for a time check. If you feel, okay, you are spending too much time on a particular phase of the whiteboard challenge, please ask for a time check. Of course, you will have a timer here, but still, feel free to ask that.
Okay, so let me just start the timer and all the very best for team 1.
All the best.
Oh,
Yep.
excuse me, Padma.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, this is my first time with the whiteboard. Can you kind of explain the process of what in a group we're supposed to do and kind of, because I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Oh, wait, I'm view only. Can someone unlock me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Caroline, are you in team 1?
Yes, yeah, but I'm locked to view only.
Oh, Caroline,
Padma,
let
can
me
you
just check
her
once.
access?
I'm sorry, I put the wrong email here. Let me send you the right email. I'm sorry.
I have given you the access. Now you
Okay,
have that.
so Alva, since you are new here, if you've listened to the presentation, again, I'm kind of repeating again. So the topic is given here. This is your challenge, and we've also given you what needs to be considered for the challenge. And you have your team members here, and you can discuss or brainstorm your ideas. We've just given a template here. You can just put your thoughts on the notes here and start brainstorming. Ask questions based on what you think, how you can actually create this application, how you would actually work in a team. That is what we want to see.
I meant, are we going to be in? Are we going to be in a breakout room, or are we going to be here? I didn't know exactly where we're going to be speaking. Is it going to be directly to you, or is?
Yep.
Yes. So, hi guys, I'm Harpoman. So we are all gonna work together on this design problem. So what you see over here in these notes, we're gonna put our ideas and we're gonna define the problem. So our topic is to design a toy building application for kids. So we are doing it for a company. So it's an international bespoke toy company. So our clients or our stakeholders are over here, so we can ask directly the questions whatever we have, and then we have to come up with a solution. So there are 4 things to consider: the age range of kids, how kids select their toys, child's behavior when shopping in a store and the settings. So, hi, Caroline.
Hey, Marco.
Yeah.
Padma, are you? Oh, yeah, you're in here. So what's the age range for the kids? It's already probably established. What's the age range? Can you hear me?
I guess your voice is not clear. Can you please repeat again?
Yes.
Yeah,
So she's asking about the kids' age range. Like what kids' age will be looking for.
So we would want you to consider that. We would want you to think through what age range of the kids, or what I would say what ages kids would like to build custom-made toys.
What kind of? Okay, that's fine. What kind of toy are you looking to build though, so that I can narrow down my age range?
Something very similar to, I say, Lego. Very similar to Lego, but not exactly Lego.
And you mentioned that like child behavior when shopping in the store. So there's physical stores. And will this toy building app interact while you're in the store?
Yes.
I was wondering what is like the material with which kids will create these toys. Are they like available with them? Like, do they have is it like we have to consider how they order these like materials, or do we consider that they have it, or is it like something that the app knows? How do we inform that the product knows what material they are using to build this toys?
So definitely the app already has the materials, and whatever the kid is making the custom building design they are creating, we are gonna give choices of materials to them.
Okay.
If we have to pick the age range and everything, and similar to Legos, like, is there? I lost my question. I'm sorry. Is there anything else you can tell me about this toy building thing? If you want a toy building application, is there anything else you can tell me about the company?
Yeah, so I would like to know like where the company is based in terms of demographics.
Where the company is based?
Yeah.
Well, it is an international company, and we do have a lot of I'd say branches in different cities.
Okay.
Here, since kids are like basically building the like they are mainly involved in building toys, but like, will it be right assumption to assume that the app is something like that parents have access to? So like, who is monitoring the app, and who is like who is building the toys? Like, is there distinction in between the user groups who are involved in these two different processes?
Well,
Yes, definitely. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Panna.
Yeah, so I can say yes, you can definitely consider that user group as well, since it will be a kids application wherein they may require the parents and those kind of stuff. You can consider that.
Are there any similar toys like this in the market, or is this
Legos? Oh, wait, Bashik, are there other similar toys that you can put other than Legos? Any kind of information you give us would be good.
Okay, it is a very custom-made, custom-built kind of a toys. So I said similar to Lego, but not exactly like Lego. So we do have unique toys as well.
So what kind of toys do you, I'm sorry, what kind of toys do you guys already have in your company? And I just have a question. Why do you want to build this kind of particular toy right now? Is there like a certain, reason, a demand do you see in the market? People are buying certain things. So just wanted to know why this particular interest in this type of toy.
Well, sometimes kids want to play with custom, with their own designs. Nowadays, kids are very creative. So we would want to increase or improve that capability for the kids, creativity in them.
Okay, so you're trying to build toys that encourage more creativity than just like flexibility of their hands. So it's more brain function.
Yes.
So the shopping of, like, it's mentioned that you have to assume, like, you have to consider the child's behavior when shopping in a store. So like the experience of, like, is it the same company that provides the toys and builds the app? Like the experience starts from like going to store and buying the type of toys, or like what do we mean by child's behavior? Like how is it impacting the kind of experience they will have later on when they install the app also? Like, is it the different toys they have that will decide different app experience as well? App experience, because it's mentioned app.
Well, different age groups of kids pick different or shop different kinds of toys in the store. And sometimes some kids pick very simple kind of toys. Some kids are really creative and they want to actually build their own kind of toys, and they just grab some sort of robotic toys or something which has voice kind of application within the toy, right? So we want to analyze those patterns, and based on that, we want to give those choices to the kids.
So you're saying, I'm sorry, could you reiterate, are you saying that the app with itself, within touch and building the toy, will have more interactions once the child gets the toy? It's interactive as a toy in the final run?
Sorry, I'm not able to hear you, Carolyn. Padma, could you hear her?
No, actually, I also did not get her point.
Yeah, I'm in a cafe, so it's difficult. I was going to say, like, as the interaction like once you build a toy, is the interaction at the end, is the child still interacting with the toy? Is it like still interactive in picking up things? It's an interactive toy, pretty much.
Sorry, actually, I did not get. Can you just type it down? If you can. Mm-hmm.
And as far as constraint, how soon are we looking into releasing this toy into the market?
That's a good question. Mm-hmm.
So we, sorry, are you talking about the toy or the app?
The app. I mean, I'm assuming you're wanting this toy. You want it like Legos, but you kind of want it in an app form. So the process of building the app. I'm not sure if you're wanting two different things or one thing. If you want an app or plus a toy, or is this all kind of one thing where you build an app and then you do a call to action button saying, yes, I want to purchase this toy, then the actual toy, like the Lego, the physical toy get made and get sent to you? Or is this just in an app format? I'm not totally sure on that part. But either way, I would like to understand what is our time constraints here from the time of conception to completion.
Well, we want to roll out the app as soon as possible. Could be maybe around 3 months down the lane. And so to make it more clearer for you, this is an app which gives the flexibility to the kids to build toys based on their creative thinking. So we are not building a toy in the app. So we are giving the flexibility in the app to the kids, like a platform to the kids, where they can create, they can design their own toy and give us their design specifications, and we build out the toy for them and then give it, and they can like send it out or deliver the toy to them.
Okay, so they like draw, for example, a circle or a triangle or some wheels. So they're basically drawing this toy, and then this kind of gets made like that.
Yes.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Over here, like I have this thing that it's written that the app helps them design their toys. However, we are also wanting them to design it by themselves. We are like helping them break free. So where exactly, what role exactly does the app play? Because we don't want to like the app to totally regulate how they design the toys, because that's their creativity. So like, is there any already the functionality of the app in this whole process that's there in the stakeholders' mind?
So in the application, like what we are thinking as a stakeholders, like they may get some materials in the application. They may get some references in the application wherein they can build the toy out there.
Right. So references, you mean what Caroline just said, as in the wheels and circles, like that sort of guide, and how they make it is up to the kid. Is am I going in the right direction?
Yeah. So we would like to see some different categories for that. If they require some different kind of toys, maybe they can look into those areas. If they are looking into some robotics kind of a thing, they may look into those resources wherein they can create some toys or something that way. It depends upon kids, what kind of a toy they would like to get it. Something that way you can say. Their liking.
So so the material is where the kid's choice will work, and but what to make, the app will guide. Is that how? And how to make it is again something that the kids will choose to do. Is that it?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
The material that they will use to build the toys, and how to build something is the kids' choice. Like that's their creativity. However, what to make is something that the app tells them. Is that how we are going to proceed? Like that's the role that the app will have to play.
Well, what to make is what the kid is telling us in the app. So the app is just a platform for the kids to, use their creativity. And we are just building out the toy. We are here only to manufacture the toy or build out the toy, what the kid is created in the app based on their imagination.
Mm-hmm.
The app is not telling anything to the kid.
So can we create a problem statement saying we are looking at a certain, well, you said kids, age range of kids, but based on what we're discussing, creativity and all that, I'm thinking toddlers. So maybe we can start off with the one group first instead of like, from age 5 to 15, because that's so many different age categories. So maybe we can start with one specific age group, and the problem statement, I guess at this, based on this, if you can help me out here, create an engaging interactive toy app for toddlers within 3 months. Is that what I understand as the, well, I wouldn't say it's a problem, it's more of an opportunity at this time.
I think, especially since it was noted here that like they're siblings, and that like because it's stimulating. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so like because it's supposed to like be stimulating and supposed to, I guess, grow with the app. From what my understanding is that like we should probably like broaden the age range and like just make
So what we can do,
where you can keep growing from there.
Yeah, so Carolyn, we can focus on one user group. So we can take, for example, like 5 to 10 or 4 to 10 years of age, and then we can also have kind of a gender role also examined. So for example, we can pick either it will be for boys or it will be for girls, because it will be the main deciding factor, like what kind of toys they want to play with. So currently what the selection method is that before COVID, parents used to take their kids to these shops and they could easily select the toys in the shop. And the shops usually used to have toys based on favorite characters, cartoon characters that were running during that period of time. So in this app, what we are basically giving them the leverage is to design their own characters, for example. And for this, we are basing the app on an iPad, and they will be having the iPad at home. So they will be designing those, toys with their siblings at home. And then the toys also get delivered at home. So they are designing there at home, and then the toys are delivered at home. So we just want to formulate that, the whole experience, how it would be. So we can start with creating what the user interface would look like. In this case, I feel like in terms of the main thing can be based on the categories. So we can let them choose on what categories they want to build. So for example, in this categories, we can have cartoon characters. So they can have a list of cartoon characters which are currently running, so that data can already be fed by the company, such that the company logistics are also simplified and they don't just give an image or something like that from Google. So they give a certain list which they can choose from. And what else? Like in terms of categories.
Animals.
Yeah, it can be animals, professions.
Nature.
No. In terms of categories, like what all kind of categories you can think of in terms of toys. So one is like a character toy, like you can see at the back of Mehz, there's a Baby Yoda. So like Baby Yoda is like a character, right? You can play with it. But like what all other toys there can be. So I feel like there can be robotic toys. That's one category. What all else category that we can have?
The kind of categories we are selecting, that will depend on the type of material they have, because is it that way? Because nature and animals
that's what I'm,
also.
Yeah. So we need to have like a pre-fit data. So in terms of like this filter, so we'll have like a broader categories they can choose from. So I'll be showcasing these.
Well, maybe so at some point, if this app also interacts with the store, so a lot of these toys at some point might have their own kind of profile or personality. So it's I think just thinking whether it be characters, robots, cartoon characters. So they're gonna choose a category of toy. That's one. And then the second part of it is they get to personalize the toy to their liking. The colors and the name and the backstory kind of thing.
Yeah. So.
Guys, you have 9 more minutes.
So like since we are running out of time, like can we like go next stage when they have actually suppose chosen characters, then how they build how they start actually building how the app actually starts helping kids to build the toy based on like say suppose they've chosen character.
Mhm.
Pick
So,
brains on that.
so in terms of characters, so for example, like first the app opens and it tells, okay, you have to tell about us, like who are you? So I select like I'm a girl, I'm like 7 years old. Then the app asks, okay, you have to tell us like what kind of categories you would select in terms of toys. So if I select a character, then it shows maybe, I mean, I'm just like thinking out loud here, like so
How about we have
we can expand on characters as well. So all I'm thinking of is like we have Lego, right? So in terms of Lego, there are different categories as well. Like you can, so it's all pre-built, right? So you can select, for example, in Star Wars, you can select the number of ships and number of characters and different things. But they also vary in terms of the complexity. So I think like we can nail down the complexity by the age factor. So if we have like a 7-year-old girl, so we can predefine the complexity factor. So a 7-year-old cannot solve a really complex like a toy. So in yeah, so in that terms, I feel like we give them like a few options which they can mix and match and then create kind of their own toy. And we can also give them like a space to sketch. So for example, like I want to build a robot, and that robot is basically that it speaks back to me. So in that terms, I would want its face, I would want its body, legs, and
how about we have, like you said, children who are just beginning or never did it before, there are levels of difficulty. Then how about we have something like tutorials, like 1 or 2 tutorials to just get started?
yeah, so that can be an in-between process. So before selecting categories, or even before selecting like we collect their data. So for example, it's a girl who's a 7-year-old. She will have like tutorials based on her own kind of preferences. So we are not going to, so basically those are kids and we don't want them to be bundled by choices. So we want to give them flexibility as well as make it more easier for them to interact with the application. So for example, I'll put this over here. Yeah, so the tutorials.
Also, like I was wondering, like it might be a little creepy but I'm just trying to put it out. While they're designing the toys, how about the app actually, like monitors and sees? So for example, at a certain stage they have started building the toys and they build something that looks like a face, and the app gives them a feedback that great, it looks like a face right now. So like not totally like so that it also helps the kid see things and like they cannot still see. Is that like
I didn't understand.
so like how about we have a screen and the video like the app can actually see, like, through video and analyze that the product the toy they are building, the kids are building, while they are building it. So say while creating a certain toy, they've come to a stage where what they built looks like a face, and the app sort of gives them a feedback that, wow, you've created something that looks like a face.
Yeah. So in these all categories, like so we build the categories, we select the category. So I selected the character, and then there will be certain characters. So I'll create that as well. Just a second. So just quickly putting over here, we have different characters based on movies, TV shows. So based on these different categories, they can, this is like the starting point for them. It's more like a bubble thing, so they can select the things that they want to fiddle with. And after that, when they select the character, then they can start, building with the character, like the face, the body, and the features and the legs. So for example, in the features, I would like the whole thing to, be interactive and, speak back to me. So I would like to have that feature as well. And what will be the color of the body and all those things will also be over here as a selecting factor. Features. Back, walk around.
And how are
And
they?
you can, yeah.
How are they going to be selecting the characters? Is it going to be like with a pen or by what is it? Swiping?
Yeah. So it's an iPad, and we are building like a mobile application thing. So I mean, so an iPad is a large screen, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, I just did not know for sure. So I mean, I know what you were talking about.
Yeah. So in terms of an iPad, like I'm just showing like over here. Let me just create it quickly. We're just 25 seconds or no. I'll just quickly, complete this one. So
I know I'm just thinking in my head, like if I was going through a toy thing, I'm seeing all these colorful images and sound features, ding. But
yeah, so we actually let them choose like the certain features, so it becomes easy. So for kids, we need to give them a starting point from where they can choose different things. So basically it's Lego, but they're mixing it all together and coming up with a whole new product that they build themselves. So I think that's the entire idea for, making it easier and giving them the choice to build it around.
So your time is up. Good job, everyone. That was a good collaboration. I see there. I do have a few pointers here for you guys. So, Harkomalpreet, so have you done whiteboarding before?
No, this is my first. Yeah.
Okay. You have really good thought process. Your design thinking is really good.
Okay,
and the way you were guiding the team is really, really good. It is hard to see people guiding the team that well, especially in beginners or aspiring people or juniors for that matter. And yeah, so the very first thing which I'd like to tell you is initial questions, what you guys asked are really good, but you asked extremely like a lots and lots of questions to only the stakeholders. You haven't brainstormed within the team initially for understanding the problem, right? You haven't discussed within the team to understand, are there other apps out there? You haven't, brainstormed about comparative study or competitive analysis there, thinking, okay, are there any other apps? Are different things that the other apps are doing? Are they providing the same things what we are actually thinking about? What age groups they are providing these kind of toy building applications, or what age group kids they are actually providing these for? Is it parent controlled, or is it sibling controlled, or are siblings helping the kids? So these are kind of the questions which you should be brainstorming within the team before asking the stakeholders.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, if you are the only one in whiteboarding challenge, definitely you should be thinking out loud and asking the stakeholders, of course. But now that you have a team, you could be probably doing more brainstorming within the team. And that's what I said. I didn't see a lot of team collaboration in the first half of the session. I only saw team collaboration and a good team collaboration after you define the problem. And you spent a lot of time on defining the problem. You spent around, I'd say, almost 15 minutes just to define what the problem statement is, or to analyze the context of it, which is why you didn't have time, like a lot of time at the end, to flesh out more ideas or generate ideas or even to discuss within the team. So yeah, I see really good design process here. I see the way you've done the app features is really good. So at the end of whiteboarding session, after you finish your 30 minutes or 45 minutes in the interview, you are generally asked most of the times to explain your scenarios to the interviewer, so that the interviewers can ask you questions as well sometimes. So you need to have a little bit of unique solutions there. Here, I don't rather see many unique solutions. I see a couple of them, but not a lot of unique solutions, because it is pretty much similar to what a Lego app could do. So yeah, that is another pointer which I wanted to give you. Padma, do you have any pointers?
Padma, your mic
We can hear you. You're on mute.
So sorry, I was talking on mute. Okay. So yes, I may said that was a good point, Harko. Good job. Like when you were guiding a team when they were not having any idea. So good job in that. So that is one good thing. One thing, like while defining a problem, while asking a question, also you guys as a team need to understand like what all things you need to consider and then ask questions. So that collaboration should be there at the starting as well, like what are areas we will consider for asking questions, and then move ahead for the define and then the solutions that way. Also, after defining, before started creating the wireframes or something that way, right? You can just flesh out some more ideas. Like if we can provide this, if we can provide that, just flesh out those idea out there in some boxes. Don't create wireframes for that, but just flesh out those ideas. And then start creating some of the sketches on one of the scenario. That is also perfectly fine. Wherein we can say, okay, these people can say for multiple solutions as well. Not only for one solution, but for some multiple solutions as well. That is one thing. I really like the way you guys define that, like what device you guys will be working on that. That was really good. You guys asked one question about time constraint as well. That was really good. And also from Deborah, you took a good initiative wherein you consider let's focus on one of the age group. So that was really very good point. from your side. Focus on when you have many other things, focus on one point and then move ahead for that particular area. So that was really very good point as I can see out here. And yes, good job, guys. It was really very good to see like people are doing a good practice and people are getting experience into whiteboard challenges.
Yeah.
So
For
good
sure.
job, guys.
Another
Thank
thing which
you,
I wanted to
thank you.
add here, what Padma mentioned about the devices. So I heard your name, Harkomalpreet, mentioning about the device being an, I'd say, iPad, as it would have a larger screen for the kids to draw out. That is a good point again. So all those things are something you need to consider. And someone did mention initially during defining the problem as age group would be toddlers. So how do you expect a toddler to draw on an iPad or on anything or create an app? They are just toddlers.
Yeah, I mean, like, just to iterate over here, like, in terms of like the age groups, I think like the app can easily take care of those things. So the first filter, like, tell us about you and putting your like age and letting them know like you're a boy or a girl. Moving forward from there, we can actually tailor the whole experience towards that age group. So even if those are toddlers, like we can give them like so an iPad has a huge area, so like 4 blocks, giving them pictures, showing them pictures and large text. Obviously they cannot read, but they can see the pictures, so they can just with their fingers they can select the pictures. And so in that categories as well, like choosing from the characters and robots and nature, so they can select like what they want. And we know that okay, they'll be selecting the characters because that is predetermined based on like the secondary research or the surveys, like how they used to do the shopping in a physical store. So we know okay, toddlers are basically buying these kind of toys. So they will be also wanting to build around that, and giving them the options. I think like it can make the entire experience more easier for them. And then, a sibling can take over and then, modify with his own, like give features like, okay, I want it to talk back or, like have like a walking around thing. So have legs and things like that. So I think like it can be a mix with the toddlers and the siblings coming around, building, on different aspects of the toys, and then, getting it delivered at home and then enjoying the whole experience. But it is just about creating that experience, which is more enjoyable and not very intuitive, but not very difficult to understand, because that's like, we don't want the kids to, leave the application because they can just click the home button and they're out of the application. And the company is in losses because definitely they didn't complete it. So, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. This is what I wanted to hear. So yeah, this is how you answered the questions as well. So good job on that.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah, so let's start with team 2. As I have texted out here, we have team 2, wherein we have Devika, Tran, and Jerry. If anyone would like to join team 2, feel free to message me your email ID. I will add you in that. So let me just share team 2 files.
I'm happy to see a Star Wars fan here.
I was really happy to see that at the end.
Sorry?
I was really happy to see that.
See what?
Grogu, like at the back.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, so I have shared the link with everyone. Yes, I can add you, Aaron. And here is the link for everyone, wherein everyone can see the file.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen again to the Teams file. Just give me a minute.
Okay, so we have 4 team members in team 2. Devika, Tran, Jerry, and Aaron. Perfect. Go ahead.
I'm opening the file currently.
Okay, so let me just start your timing. Oops.
Okay, so this is Team 2's challenge.
Hello. Am I audible?
Create an application to manage the
Hello?
activities to maintain work-life balance.
Hello?
And the considerations are already here.
Somebody's saying hello. I can hear you.
Yeah, someone is saying hello.
Hello?
Okay, can everyone access the file? All the team members and other people. Perfect. Go ahead. All the very best.
Okay.
All the best, guys.
What's the main problem here? Because people are struggling to maintain a work-life balance, but
So it says that create an application to manage the activities to maintain work, school life balance. The reason said over here is, I'm just repeating so that we are on the same page. The pandemic has presented new challenges for millions of workers and students around the world. People have been struggling to maintain work and school life balance because they have to manage their time by themselves while working and learning remotely. Okay, cool. So I assume that this is going to be an app which builds like a timetable, which helps them like manage their time. It has that could be one of the reasons, but we could validate the whole thing by knowing who actually our users are. So what do you guys think, like in terms of like age group?
Yeah, can we just ask the like stakeholders? Can we ask like who the final users of this product are, or what your goal is?
Yeah, definitely. I was just thinking like what
Or
we think.
we want to.
Like,
okay.
maybe like we can discuss what you think. You guys think like they can be like millennials only, or you think like no, because teenagers go to college as well. So we could have like that age group, and then we validate it from our stakeholders. What do you guys think?
I kind of imagine this to be more like college age people who are sort of like more free to have that. I don't know. I feel like work, school, and life balance sort of applies, or in my mind applies more to like adult aged.
Like 17 years old or.
Yeah.
So I'm writing 17 or older. I'm just taking assumptions that we have, and then we can definitely validate it from the stakeholders. 17 years plus. Okay. And do you think like it should be 17 till 30, or you're saying like 17 plus, like as like a broad range group that you're thinking of?
I think people in my mind, like talking if it's sort of people who are in school, potentially working and going to school and wanting to have a life balance, that, I mean, it may be a little bit more of an edge case, but I feel like plenty of people that are, 30s, 40s, 50s that are going back to school. Even though kind of, the stereotypical college-aged person is kind of in the 17 to 22 range, I guess.
Maybe college going, or people who are like career changers and studying with their job or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Just trying to know the demographics so that we can like decide well. And feel free to add it in the box. I'm just adding random points in the yellow box. Please feel free to career changers. Okay.
Is this work-life balance or work, school, and life? Could it be like a school life, or is it,
So it's saying, that's why I wrote like career changers, because it says work, school, life. So for instance, I have a work experience, but I am doing school with work right now.
Yeah.
So, and that's the reason I was thinking like maybe we could have 17 plus to maybe 32 or something like that, because I feel people after that age are like very punctual and defined, sort of like, more 17 to 30, I'm typing 32, 30 or 32, something. I don't know.
Well, I guess my question was, are those, are we designing something, or we should get clarification on, is it somebody, like, is the user somebody who's going to school and also wants to balance their just general life? Or can it be somebody who's exclusively just doing work and wanting to balance their life, or exclusively going to school and balancing? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get it. I feel like it's both school and work, but this is a good point to validate it from our stakeholders. Maybe they can give us an idea if we have we have discussed like certain basic pointers. What do you guys think? We can ask them questions.
Yeah. Tech limitations. I feel like that's a good question to see if there's any limitations on the technology that we can use.
Oh,
Or build like a mobile app or a responsive web.
Yeah.
I feel these are like very good questions, and I feel like because it's related to habit tracking or like something like that, it could be a mobile app because people use that more frequently. But yes, it has to be responsive. It can be opened on desktop as well. Like I personally feel that for this, people may prefer using their phones.
Yeah. Are we just putting down questions?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can.
I thought another question is like, what stage is the product in, to understand if they have a prototype? Is there something that they've been using? Just sort of, I guess we're creating an application, so maybe that's sort of, but in that same vein, I guess there could be the whole competitors questions, like, are there solutions that people have already found? Are there competitors? Are people, like, what research do they have?
What research do they have is a good question. What research do they have? Are there any initial researchers that are research have they done? I also think that we can ask a question like, what physical thing is solving this problem right now? Like, what is that users are using right now, other than this, like, so that we can incorporate. Yeah, sorry. I'm so sorry. Who was
Oh, you're right. Go ahead. Keep going.
So how should we frame the question? Like, what are users using currently, according to?
Yeah. Are there any current solutions or products, or also maybe if they have any research on people who have found their own solutions that are not?
Yeah.
What's existing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good point to go to the stakeholders now. Okay.
I guess 2 last questions would be budget and timeline.
Yeah, I've written constraints over there. So the budget, I was expecting that to be in terms of budget.
Okay.
Budget and timeline.
Do you want to know any KPI?
Yeah.
Measure success. Do we want like people utilizing it on a certain time, or what would be a KPI?
It's a good question to ask in terms of business context, but I feel like that can come a bit later, but like we can ask as many questions we want.
Sure.
Okay, I've written all the questions here, and anybody can ask. Like, I'll just type answers, or
Yeah. I guess we're ready to kind of get some stakeholder feedback. Do you want us to ask these questions individually to you, or is this something you have been like following along with and understand our notes to anybody that's watching?
So I think we can just ask. The Mehz, can you hear us? Can you?
Yes, we can hear you.
So we as a group talked about certain initial researching parts, and we decided that we took our assumptions that our user persona will be something between 17 to 32 years old. What do you think about that? Do you have any initial research that you have done that validates that point, or you are okay, or you want us to do any modifications on that?
Okay, so the age group, what you've actually assumed is correct. We are looking for users who are working along with studying.
Okay.
Working it could be 7 to 32. We are kind of looking for somewhere around 35 plus as well. because you could probably go till 36, 38 years as well.
Okay. Also to like, sorry, is somebody saying something?
Yeah, I said, or maybe 40. I think people at your 40s still sometimes go to school, maybe for some extra curricular or maybe masters or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said like 40, it should be till 40, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's good.
Okay. Fine. We have like an age group from 17 to 40, which is like Gen X and millennials, sort of millennials. Our next question to you, the stakeholders, are what are the constraints and the budgets and the timeline in terms of budget and timeline that we have on this project?
Emma, you want to answer that question?
Yeah. So the constraint, you can say, we are thinking, as we have said, like consider latest technology. So those are the things which we are considering with latest technology. So that way, maybe you can just think on it, like what you guys can explore more on latest technologies, and then maybe just check on like what kind of a constraint the users will have on these platforms or something that way, you can say.
Okay, so thank you for telling us that. Also, do you have any set timeline for the project? Like, it should be done in like 3 months, 4 months, a year, like, or are you like you are at what stage of on this till now?
So we want to roll it out something in the coming quarter. So I'd say 3 to 4 months.
3 to 4 months. Okay, cool. Are there any current solutions that have you done any initial research and you have come up with any current solutions that people are already doing in place of this app?
Well, no, we've not done any research. So we are expecting that research from you.
Okay. Any other questions? I think, okay. Guys, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask and then we can quickly jump on to our...
Sure. Any pain points or challenges, assumptions that you might think we might run into?
So you're asking us the question?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Pain points or challenges, we can say, like youngsters, like the people who are working, the people who are taking their schools or courses or something that way, those people are not getting time for themselves, as if they are very busy with other stuff. So that's the reason we would like to give them some platform wherein they can like track their activities and those kind of stuff to make their life balance something. So that is the major challenge which we are looking into.
So the major pain point here is because of pandemic, a lot of users have actually have economic burden as well. So which is why sometimes the users, what we see, are working 2 jobs at a time along with studies. So that makes it really difficult for them to manage their household activities or even their, like, as we mentioned in the problem statements, the work school life balance, which is what we are trying to solve here.
Okay.
Yeah, works well. I think we're a bit late on time. Do you guys want to move on to the features as
Sure.
move ahead?
Yeah.
I think Mehz. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
I was gonna say, like, I think the first assumptions I'm making is that a calendar or a schedule type task prioritization or something like that.
What about the assumption? Should we make an assumption of like what sort of technology, whether it's like phone based or like computer or laptop based or website?
I think app, right?
Yeah, even I think
Okay, for me, I think like an app synchronized with the web version. So it's having a web version where you can access through your browser. So, and a mobile app kind of synchronizing together.
Okay. I think it's definitely for me it's a mobile app and I feel like now as we are discussing we are moving towards the core navigation about like you said we can have like a calendar integration and we can have stuff like that. So maybe it's a good point to discuss the core nav before we move ahead. Like you think there should be a profile for a person to actually add things or like or what is the first screen that they see, maybe schedule.
Yeah.
This can have like usually the core nav in the apps are like not more than 4 items. So schedule, which can be schedule, profile. What else? Calendar.
Maybe connecting their emails, right?
Yeah. I also feel that like Mehz said a very important point. Economic burden led to people having 2-3 jobs together. Do you guys think that we can have like a general, like usually, so I'm trying to give a physical experience to user. So when people use their notebook and a diary where they have like date and things they have to do in a particular day and stuff like that, like a journal, right? So we can have like a journal over here that where they can like manually feed things, or like, I don't know. It's just like, what do you guys think?
Yeah,
I think like a journal with a reminder. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Journal with notifications, you mean, right?
Yeah, notification or reminder. So yeah.
I'm imagining something that's like a visualization, like some sort of chart or like pie chart that shows.
So you mean data visualization?
Yeah, some sort of data visualization.
So let's do one thing. Our first orange section is our core nav. Now in the blue one, let's write all of these things, how we are going to do it. So through data visualization, then what somebody said notifications, right? So these are the added features that will make our app, give it an edge. Notifications. Also, one thing we can leverage is, so people might question, we do have a calendar in our systems already. Why do we use this app? But we could say that accessing calendars on a system is not very accessible. You can't like really put things in a very proper way in your integrate. At least I'm talking about Mac. The Google Calendar that I have, it doesn't like, to me, don't like, I have to use external things. So we can make this very accessible, clear, big headings, like that.
More customization.
Customization, personalization.
Sure.
Yeah. So let me just ask you a question. What other things do you think will be adding to the calendar to make it more special apart from this customization on the UI part?
Yeah, definitely.
What other things you think will make it more special? I think that should be the real question.
Can you please repeat? I didn't hear it.
He asked what would make this more special than a typical calendar.
Yeah, that's what I think somebody said. Data visualization and visual interactions. We could like maybe leverage that point. Calendar looks very boring, right? I mean, it's a very boring piece of thing. So we could like maybe use visual design aesthetics to make it more.
Maybe I know like a lot of things sometimes you feel like you multitask a lot. Maybe this app can just strictly focus one thing at a time based on your schedule. So like if it's reading time, you can only focus on reading time, because that could separate stuff, because sometimes you feel like you multitask so much that you get distracted, one task at a time might be helpful as well, because they're trying to balance or maintain a balance, I guess.
Yeah. And this is a very good idea, and this led to, so sometimes for example, users want to read, but they get calls and messages. This app, once a person is maybe studying, it can have like do not disturb or something like that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. I like that.
Do not disturb integration. And I like how we are going towards like making this better than what exists. Right?
What about some sort of feature that like if you're, because I mean if we're not sort of limited by technology, you can do a lot of things with maybe like tracking information. So if you're like, the app could technically, like if it was a calendar and it said like this is the time you're at work, it could like geolocate to know that you're at work, or like know that you're at home and potentially studying in some way. So with that, you could have like different types of reminders saying, like, for instance, like if you were at home studying and the app was tracking that you started using Instagram on your phone, you could get a reminder saying, hey, you spent like 15 to 30 minutes on Instagram, but you have scheduled coming up like this, I don't know, sort of assignment,
Yeah, definitely. And this could be one of the motivations for the app. Why do I use this app? We are
Yeah.
defining motivations now. So why to use this app? Because this app encourages me to work. It's encouraging me to follow a timetable, which a calendar doesn't do, right? In a normal way.
Yeah. So there could be
Yeah.
some external research we could find that says like people that get reminders. Or I feel like I've seen this, like, some way that makes this better. That's based in sort of established research that says this is better than a typical calendar because it does X, Y, Z.
Yeah. Stop using Insta, for example. I like somebody wrote the mental health check. I really like it.
And I think we should have a constraint on that idea because things like that can really get annoying when it continues like over time.
Yeah.
So I think we should have like a constraint on that. That's just my own perspective of things.
Guys, you have just 10 minutes left now.
Okay. And I also feel that the mental health, how we can use it, for example, if the app has tracked that the person worked for more than 18 hours in a day continuously, then you can get a prompt saying, time to stay calm. Do you want to just go for a walk or like do something? Like just remind person that you are a human being. You need to take breaks.
Yeah.
Right? Take a break notification.
Yep.
Okay. I think we have some great ideas. Now, what else after that?
I've also, this is like a potentially not that helpful in our time frame, but with the idea of like automation and like sort of like using data to sort of like customize apps and things. There's like a couple I believe it's like a mental health app that can sort of track like your movements and like, so it knows like when you're sleeping or when you're up. And through that, like sort of large amounts of data collection about the user, it can sort of predict whether or not you're depressed or these types of things. So like something like that.
Maybe like a daily health checker.
Yeah, except it's more based on like sort of like a machine learning to like predict your outcomes. Like if it notices you're waking up.
Like AI.
Yeah, it's basically like an AI system that sort of uses machine learning to understand your habits. And when those change, it can predict sort of like what you're,
I like this idea, and I feel like the best way to do it is in the profile section of a core nav, we can give an option to sync your devices, sync your Apple device, sync your, because people are already using something which they're happy with. Okay. Like Android users use Google watches and like iPhone users use Apple Watch. So why not leverage from that? Just sync your device, right?
Yeah.
Sync your device.
I have 5 emails. I like to condense it to one.
Yeah. Sync email.
Syncing email into one or something like that. Like sometimes I like if things could just be plotted into my calendar. Like
automate. So once you sync
like
your
automation or something.
Once you sync your email, your calendar will automatically get information like integrated, right? Because you are in like putting it in it, like in your profile section, you can go to settings and do that. Now, I think what will be the good exercise for us to actually make one user flow from the start to the end. Like, so like a user comes in, because our app is new, we can give like onboarding screens, 3 points, like do this, and then have like a profile or Just quickly, let's make that so that we have an idea of like.
It's kind of.
Is there like checking in with stakeholders to see what some of the ideas that we've presented, how they're being received?
So let's divide work at this point. I'm writing the points. You can talk and get information, and then we can like maybe, because we don't have time.
Yeah. Within this sort of the solutions and features that we've added, do you, the stakeholders feel like this is in line with what you wanted to design, or like a product that represents the direction you see this product heading?
Yeah, it's kind of going in the right direction. Okay. But you need to keep in mind as well that we want to roll this out within the next quarter, as I mentioned, within 3 to 4 months. So can the team build all these features within the 3 to 4 months? Is it possible? Because you are including AI as well.
So yeah, I think we should focus on the minimum viable product of what we can just push out as soon as possible.
What I was thinking was, that it's a great point about having like minimal features, but we could work on the strategy of having firstly releasing the app with basic core navs, without which the app is like not workable. Then have like mission, like basically having mission critical first, which you can see in our core features. We want to have a schedule. We want to have a profile which can sync with your email, your device, and in settings, calendar, and your basic general, which can give you notifications and reminders. The other features are nice to haves and out of scope, which will be an iteration that we will do after the app releases. This is we're just like not holding ourselves to have ideas just because we do not have much time, because we can always use it later. Okay.
I think we just point out the most important features and just work on them for now, which are like the simple and the most important. I think the notification is very simple, important. Data visualization, if that's possible.
Okay.
I think the don't disturb integration is also important, and maybe the journaling aspect of things. I think that should be also important.
You're right. I think you're right. Yeah. And also notifications could have these things, right? Take a break and all of those things. These could be in a form of notifications, integrating and making.
I think the notification part can be divided into two. So one would be like the general notification, the other would be like reminders. So the reminders can be set. Let me say, for example, you write something important about, let me say, for example, something you want to do before you start reading, or some important part of the books you want to read, just to make things more simpler for you. Let me say, for example, you're in a class, a lecture, and then the lecturer is talking. Let me say, for example, you are coming back to school, maybe you're 30 or 32 years old. And then you see like there are some important things the lecturer is mentioning in class, in his note, and those things you feel might come out in the test that you're preparing for. So you can pinpoint those things now, set a reminder on it. Like this particular time, I want to read this. By this time when I'll be reading, these are the important things I want to focus on. You understand? So it's like the journaling should be more integrated with the reminders. I think that would try and solve like a new problem.
3 minutes.
Yeah, people have with remembering important things they want to work on. People with who are having like this kind of problem are people that have work, students, and they also have their own life. So I think that is also unique. I don't know.
And I think you're absolutely right. In addition to that, I also feel that after this, we should also focus on like, I know we are like set of designers, but iterating in terms of like, at what stage do you guys want to do like a first research, like on research with users? This is a new app. We have no idea about it, right? So we can't be right. We have, in order to remove our biases, we could like, because right now we are working, we all like have great ideas. So maybe we could do A/B testing. Have some features together and that conduct an interview and then take insights, because it's a good saying, right? Listen to the user and it all will follow.
So like a plan basically that you could present to the stakeholders to get the information that we're looking for.
Yeah.
So the other thing we can do is to look online and see apps doing what we are doing at the moment. So we can just pick some common things that we feel are common in those apps, and then add something unique, which has a new perspective to this. So the uniqueness can be tested, like using the user research and other things. That does not affect things. So I think I'll continue.
So wants to ask the stakeholders too, like, what's the benefit of using this app versus like what they're doing right now, though? Like,
but we have given enough customization, and we have given like a. What sometimes people do not want. And also, please check the user flow and add and like whatever you guys feel, add or remove. Just because we don't have time. So user checks in, goes to the onboarding screen, sets their profile, sync their devices, personalize your calendar view, set their priority, or set the priorities will come first. I don't know. Set the priorities, personalize the calendar.
I think once as a user, probably see my calendar, then I like to set my priority. I don't. Well, it doesn't. Yeah. Do you feel like it's better before than after?
Yeah, so I'll put it before. Thank you so much for telling me that. And then you personalize your calendar. Sorry.
Sorry, please. I don't want it to be like I think we shouldn't make it like straight to the calendar kind of. I don't know. Because I don't like I'm just saying my perspective to things. Like it shouldn't be like straight to the calendar. Maybe the calendar can come up when you are trying to perform a new task or something like that.
Okay, so we can say like set up a task or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Let's keep it broad. Set up a task. It could be anything, right?
Mhm.
And then gets notification whenever you have like gets notification timed notifications.
So let me say something, please. So the task, under the task creation of a new task, the task can be, let me say, maybe like something important, maybe like a little journal. You don't have an idea of what that would be at the moment. But let's say, for
That's
example,
like
a simple note. So you can have like a simple note. You can have like a just normal reminder. You can have it like a task or something. You can have it like an idea. I don't know. Just brainstorming. I don't have like a clear idea of what that's going to look like at the moment. Just say what the task will look like. I think those are like the major important things I think from my own perspective, users will try and complete at basics at the minimum level with the usage of the app. So I don't know if that's relevant.
Okay.
Guys, time is up.
Uh,
Do you have anything
Really?
else to add to?
Not enough questions. No.
That's a good thing. A lot of questions.
Yes, a lot of questions.
Mhm.
Absolutely. It's a great job on this one, guys. I liked the way you started off with assumptions and then you wanted to validate it with the stakeholders. That is a really great way to start brainstorming. You first discussed within the team, analyzed it, even questioned yourself if there are other products who are actually giving similar features. So that is a great point again. And you actually spent extremely too much time on problem statement, trying to analyze what the problem is. And then you started off asking questions to the stakeholders. You almost spent around, I think, 12 minutes or 15 minutes. Padma?
Yeah, 12 minutes.
12 minutes, right? Yeah. So I said probably I would obviously suggest spending around 5 minutes during this time because you already have only 30 minutes. So 5 minutes for context understanding and then directly go ahead with defining the problem and generating the ideas.
Do you remember what we spent our time doing? Do you have ideas on things that we talked about that were not useful or like how we could have streamlined it? Because I wasn't really keeping track of the time, so it didn't feel like 12 minutes, but was that when we were talking about like the work school life balance and like what that meant type of stuff? Like, was it work life? Was it school life? Is that what you're talking about? Or like how thinking it? Yeah. Like how can you streamline,
right. So
any examples that you could say like that was not a great direction?
Okay. So for example, initially you start, of course, the way you started off, assuming writing down the assumptions and then validating it with the stakeholders, that is good. The way to go about it is good. However, you spend a lot of time on assumptions alone. So as and when you started assuming things, you could just shoot out your questions to the stakeholders or the interviewer or the client, whoever is sitting in the interviews, and ask them the question. The moment you assume something, just ask the question directly because a whiteboarding challenge is not a project. You need to consider it as a project, but it is not a full-fledged project. You don't have 3 to 4 months there. You just have 30 minutes or 45 minutes at the max, right? So if you are assuming something, you note it down and immediately ask your stakeholders. If you don't get any answer or a concrete answer from your peers or from your team.
Okay.
So that's how probably you can reduce a little bit of time there.
Yeah. I think we did, I guess in that, to get like a specific example, like when we were talking about like the age range, I mean, we did kind of spend a lot of time going back and forth about what the age range. So like in your example, we could have just said, this is what we think our age range is. And then said, do you as a stakeholder agree with that? Or is that wrong? Instead of like sort of becoming kind of like lost in the noise of, was it 17 to 35? Was it 17 to 40? Is it people of all ages kind of thing?
Yep. So instead of writing down all the assumptions and discussing within the team, you could have just asked the stakeholder, okay, this is what we're assuming. Is this correct? Can you validate this immediately? And we would have immediately told you, okay, we are considering somewhere around 36 or 35 plus range as well, because there are people who do PhDs and still work to maintain their, so that this app definitely would help them as well to maintain their work-life balance. So another thing, important thing, which I would like to tell you is the features what you've listed out here are great. You have really amazing features what you've listed out. But as I mentioned before, we want to roll it out within the next quarter. So focus on most important ones that you realized it at a very later stage, which is why you didn't have. So I think Tran did mention that you would want to go ahead with the MVP, which is a great point, that you should have realized it a little sooner and focused on very minimal features to first roll out the product immediately and started working on those specific features in depth, rather than just listing out all the features and then saying, okay, this is what we want to go ahead with, right? Which is why you guys didn't have time at the end. You could just go till the user flow. You didn't have time to even sketch out anything at the end, right? Another pointer which I actually wanted to tell is, I really like the way you worked through these features and you questioned yourself about similar products, what the like, especially the calendar. Like, we already have a calendar. What uniqueness your product is actually offering, or the application is actually offering to the client? You questioned yourself within the team and tried to analyze it. What different thing you can make this calendar look like? Okay, that is a very interesting or a very great point. And you also spoke about giving it a human touch, which is great again. So yeah, these are the points from my end. Padma, you have any points?
Yes, I do have some of the points wherein I see good collaboration. I would encourage other people also to ask questions, since like Devika and Aaron was leading at the starting, as I see, and then slowly other people started asking the questions. I would encourage other people also to ask questions. If not asking questions, just write it down on the board so that other can also see your collaboration as well. So I would suggest that. I really like the way you make your assumptions first and quickly asking us about date range and those kind of stuff. So that is a good job out there. Also, one good point when Aaron asks somewhere at the ending, wherein you discuss about like, should we incorporate with machine learning or maybe AI and those kind of stuff. That point should have come earlier, since we have consideration as latest technology. So that point we were looking into that way when we are talking more about the people who all are like earning and the age group, we are more looking into that kind of a thing. So that was our consideration. But that is good. At least you realize that we should consider that area. That is one point. I really like the way Jerry said, like, let's focus on first MVP. As Mehz said, it is very important when you have a tight deadline, you should go ahead with first MVP, and then rest you can keep it for other releases. That is good part. I see you have covered many features and then you move ahead with one scenario. That was a good thing which you have already provided. So overall, it is a good experience you guys have created out here. Yep.
I have a quick question. Like specifically, I guess this is more like a whiteboarding challenge question. Like, say for instance, like in this, you were saying like maybe like machine learning, like AI would actually take longer than 4 months. If in a whiteboarding challenge, you said like the argument would basically be that you wanted to differentiate this product and that you would want to convince the stakeholders that spending more time on this would make a significantly better improvements to their product. Would that be like a reasonable thing to do in a whiteboarding challenge, or would that just be like frowned upon?
Yeah.
Kind of?
Yep. It depends like what constraint you have and how much time they are asking. If they're asking for latest technology, let's say you can consider with Apple Watch or something that way, or maybe some watch or something that way, wherein you can just track their activities or something that way. So maybe you can think from that perspective from starting, then you will get some more ideas based on that, something that way.
I think what would have been nice too is that we had a lot of good ideas that we each would have took like 2 minutes of just brain dump our ideas, what you think a good product is, and then we come together and then we choose which one we wanted. That could help too, because we were trying to do too much together and then asking each other versus like maybe 2 minutes of just like, okay, what do you think about scheduling? What does it like? And then just dump all your ideas and then we shuffle them together, because we were kind of leaning the same pathway, which is good, but then it burned time, right?
Yeah.
That's how I was kind of seeing it too. So
that's a great point, actually.
Yeah. And also like whiteboard challenges are not only for creating an application. It can be any other system, any other product, any other service as well. Maybe you can think on those areas as well. Don't strictly work only for the application. There are many other ways which you can look into that. And there are people who are looking for like new people who can generate new ideas, new products, not only the mobile application. Maybe you can just think on that as well. That will help.
Yeah, as Pada mentioned, sometimes when a challenge is given to you, it is not restricted to only creating an application. It could also be they're already working on a product and they just want to know your opinion on that product, if they are going in a correct direction, or if they just want to brainstorm with external users rather than just within their team after their research is done. They just want to get a second opinion on their product. They would just show you their product, probably a part of their product, and ask you your opinion. That could also be a whiteboarding session there.
More like a critique, you mean?
Yes.
Kind of like a saying. Okay.
Not exactly a critique. It's just your thoughts on their product, how to make that product better. Right? Not exactly a critique. Obviously, the interviewer wouldn't ask you a critique on their product. They would just ask you how to make that product better. Right? What new features you could add to that product, or what modifications or updations you could do for that particular product, like upgrading it better. Maybe those features, they might not have thought about it. Okay, so that is how they see like unique solutions, what you can bring to the table.
In those types of situations where it's like there's not maybe like a clearly defined path, and like it kind of happened to us where we didn't really know like about the users. Is it reasonable, or like is something that they're looking for would be to like talk about a plan on how to obtain that information and like what actions you could maybe take off of that, rather than talking about like sort of features that could potentially be? So does that make like if I talked about like, okay, we could do like this type of research to understand the users. So like if we found that or like why I would do that research, rather than just saying like, okay, like let's add this feature and this feature and this feature.
So you can also ask them if they had done that research before. Whatever you're thinking, they would have already done that research and they just thought, okay, that solution is not viable for them. They would have just scratched it out. So you could always ask them if you have done this before, and then flesh out those ideas, right?
Okay.
So if they've not done that before, then you can probably dig deeper into that and go in that direction.
Okay.
Yep. Someone was asking something.
Yeah, but I think Aaron was saying something. So I was like, maybe he's saying something, so I didn't say.
I guess it's kind of the same question, sort of like same topic, in that in like a whiteboarding session, like kind of the reason I was asking about like talking about like, like a test plan to come, or like a research plan to come up with like these answers, like, because I kind of feel like there's like, I feel like the whiteboarding challenge is not necessarily always to like come up with like a solution, and it's like more about see how you think through the problem. But like at the same time, I guess I just don't know exactly what parts they want you to be thinking through. Like, that's why I was kind of asking, like, if you're talking about like, oh, could I come up with a whiteboarding or with like a research plan, or, oh, could I, if I could talk about like we should extend this project to make like a better product. You know, you could like make that argument. But I feel like in design, maybe that's like a valid thing potentially. Like if you wanted to, you know, sort of like lead a design project and you are working for an agency and you're like, you might have to convince a client. So it's like it's an aspect of UX, but is it an aspect of the whiteboarding challenge?
Well, okay, so whiteboarding challenge is mainly why we do whiteboarding challenges is mainly because sometimes your portfolio, when we look through it, it doesn't give us a full story. We don't know if you've actually worked on that particular project or that case study all by yourself or with a team, or if you've actually done that case study. You could have just copied it from somewhere and put it on your portfolio. So we don't exactly know your story there. So we want to see it live as how you work and what is your way of working, how you think through the process. You don't have to be perfect. Okay, you can definitely make mistakes. You can definitely mess it up. You can just create a very messy board right in front. You don't have to be very extremely neat or clean on the board. You can just randomly place your thoughts on the board. But we want to see your process, your thinking behind it. Okay, as you said, we don't want to see solutions. It would be great if you can offer us really good solutions at the end, but we want to see how you think through the process. If you're able to analyze the problem well, if you're able to define the problem well, if you're not able to understand what the context of the problem is, how would you give us a good solution? That is what we want to see in whiteboarding challenge, right? Because when we skim through the portfolios and completely go through it, we don't have sometimes time to go through the entire case study. We just briefly look at the key highlights in your case studies and then just decide, okay, let's just interview this candidate and see where it goes. That's what most of the interviewers do. Okay, and whiteboarding challenge comes into picture at that point of time wherein we can understand how the candidate thinks, right?
Did you feel like our group accomplished that? Like, I know you had notes and a lot of it, I feel like some of it was just based off us sort of like not being time conscious or like streamlining it, but like, do you feel like what we did sort of showed you the way we analyzed the problem and like defined it? Do you feel like what we did was adequate in that sense?
Yeah, definitely. So, okay, another thing about whiteboard challenge, a very important thing is there is no right or wrong way to do it. Okay, so whatever you do, that is your way of design thinking. Okay, so me as a part of my organization or my team, I would want to see if you fit well with my team. That is what we want to see. Okay, your way of design thinking might be different to some other candidate's way of design thinking. We just want to see how your design thinking is. So there is no right or wrong in that. Whatever you have done here is good, is really good. And the way you've collaborated with the team is good. That is what we wanted to see here. If you're actually collaborating with the team well, if you're actually giving inputs to the team, or if you're actually brainstorming well with the team, what kind of inputs are you giving to the team? Or are you just listening to what others are saying? That is what we want to see in the whiteboarding challenge.
Are usually whiteboards individuals, right? Obviously, because you're interviewing for the job, but usually it's by yourself. So we don't usually work collaboratively, right? For whiteboard challenges, right? So,
I have a quick question here. So I aspire to be an interaction designer, and I've given certain interviews as well. I always feel that whenever I'm doing a whiteboarding challenge, for example, we were discussing about users 17 to 30 years, or like in a team or however. So should I also tell them how I've come to this thing? Because, for instance, I as a person can't decide that a 30, 35, like a person who's 40 plus can't use this app. It will come through a survey or through a research or through some sort of a research technique, right? Although I'm not a researcher, can I just, is it a good practice to say that I would assume that it's 17 plus, but I would definitely encourage the researchers in the team, or if I have to do it, to conduct a small survey and, a sort of like user interview to know if my assumptions are right or no, or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. So in that case, like what you can do, like since this is a whiteboard challenge, you will not have your own research, own surveys and those kind of stuff, definitely. But you can make that as your hypothesis for this particular activity. And then you can give those reasons, like just because we consider this particular age group, that's why we have come up with this particular solution, something that way. So that you are connecting those dots, like why you consider the users and like what was your solution for that. So that you need to consider when we are approaching any solutions. So why do we have these users, right? So we think from their perspective. If we are thinking from elderly group, so we need to consider accessibility and those kind of a stuff as well. So that's why these are very important things when you are considering some age group, the technologies and rest all things, where you need to connect those dots at the end when you are providing the solutions that way.
For
That
instance,
will help.
for instance, in this particular scenario, now I'm thinking we should have spoken about how people want easy and quick to scan things because they're already busy with their school and a lot of other things. So like
Yep.
we need to make something so simple that they do not give any sort of cognitive load to the users. Like
Actually.
a very one click or three click or easy to use, or like because people abandon apps which give them stress.
Definitely. And when we are saying like they are very busy with their many other things, why to give them more complex applications or product wherein they need to put again some more learning for that particular application? So those are all also other things which you can consider. So all these are your assumptions, some of your hypotheses when if stakeholders are not as like telling you the like yes you should consider this, you should consider that, but you can make your hypothesis as well for this particular activity wherever you are like doing the whiteboard challenges.
Okay.
And it is very good practice. It is not only about when you are providing many solutions and all. We are just looking into like how is your thinking process, how you ask questions, and do you consider company goals as well, do you consider users as well, do you consider like should we consider all the things and provide the solutions, like how you are communicating with the stakeholders, with other team members, if you have any other team members in that challenges and all. So that is very important. So yes, and also whiteboard challenges always give an opportunity to showcase all the soft skills like collaboration, coordination, your communication, curiosity. Like UX person is like the most curious person in the world. So you should showcase that curiosity as well, like how you are understanding that particular problem statement and how you are asking the questions to the stakeholders that way. So yeah, that will definitely help.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, most welcome. Okay, any other questions?
Oh, I have a question. I know you guys mentioned the solution was not the end here, but it was actually your thinking process. But I do have a question. I mean, for those employers who are interested in unique solutions, if you had any feedback or suggestions about how do you come up with unique solution off the top of your head, when you have no experience in that specific industry, like what steps or, because, when you're under that kind of pressure, you just kind of freeze or even if you do know, you kind of blank out. But I was just wondering, what method do you go to, when you have no clue about the industry? What are some steps you take?
I would say you just need to do practice, read more case studies, check more other case studies, like what people are doing, what whiteboard challenges are there that way, so that you will get an understanding, like if you are going to that particular company, what kind of a products they use, what kind of a products they are building. So similar on that basis, you will get a question to solve that particular problem. So that at least you will get better idea if you are looking into some tourism company like a Expedia, you can say, okay, so they may give you some kind of that kind of maybe challenge for their whiteboard, right? Just because they want to understand like how you are thinking for their particular product, right? So that way you will get an idea like how is your like knowledge about that product as well, that company as well, and how you will come up with new latest technologies, new solutions in those areas. So it is always about practice more and more whiteboard challenges, then you will get an habit like providing like as many solutions as you want. So whiteboarding is a practice for a job itself also. And there is another thing which we usually have whiteboard session in our usual projects, wherein we sit with our stakeholders, we brainstorm some ideas with them to understand like what they would like to build, what are their users, what are their goals, and those kind of stuff. So whiteboard is one thing when you will have one step for your interview, but there is one more whiteboard challenge, not the whiteboard challenge, but that is a whiteboard exercise you will have with your actual stakeholder when you will start working on any product. So that there is one more scenario on that. So in that, you will have to flesh out many more ideas or solutions with your stakeholders. So that is again a good exercise for your brain to think more on like on various platforms and like technologies and those kind of stuff. So that is one thing.
Hey everyone, on behalf of IterateUX, we would like to thank you so much for watching this week's event. If you like the content, please leave a like and subscribe. We'll have events every Thursday at 5:30 Pacific Time. Join our Discord in the description to find out more.